It is a Tuesday with Thompson. The PT is in the house. We'll get his thoughts on the Eagles and so much more. Phillies getting rid of Clintack. Doc Rivers is in the house. Matt Niskanen retires. We'll go all around with the PT on a Tuesday with Thompson. Peter?
Jump back. Who's that team? Here they come, full blast and top down. Hot shoe, what will the Eagles do? Just get a win, get a frickin' win. Don't you know everyone on NBC gave them no chance? Look at them, Eagles win. Eagles win. Eagles win. That's my homage to Eddie Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen, man. We got to start off by talking about him. It's all over my social media.
Everywhere, man. Everywhere. Did you know that the Rutgers basketball team used the Eddie Van Halen guitar as the backdrop of their media guy when Eddie Jordan was the head coach?
I wonder if they paid him for that, since we're doing the unit on copyright in our school. I mean, like, listen, if you're of a certain age, you even remember, like, boy, this Michael Jackson song is really good. Who's that guy playing guitar? Oh, that's Eddie Van Halen. Like, he was on Thriller, he was on Beat It, he was on, Hot for Teacher. That was Panama you just played, Running with the Devil, Why Can't This Be Love? Look, Van Halen had a lot of iterations, right? David Lee Roth, Sammy Hagar, Gary Sharon, Sammy Hagar, David Lee Roth. Now all of a sudden Michael Anthony's out and Wolfie is in. That was Eddie's kid. They were around for so long that Eddie's kid joined the band at some point. But, Van Halen, that is a soundtrack of my younger, dangerous days.
Now, are you a David Lee Roth or a Sammy Hagar?
David Lee Roth. But I hear that Sammy Lee Hagar is the nicer man to meet. So it's very
I met Sammy Hagar.
I hear he's a wonderful man. Very laid back, very Jimmy Buffett-esque. Where's the drinks and let's have a good time.
Yeah, he was doing the Cabo Wabo, the drink.
But not bad. Yeah, let's have a few. Okay. It just, I thought that I would try to, for my song, try to give a little homage to, it's crazy too. The number of people, like, you can kind of count on one hand people that are truly, like, legendary, gifted with a guitar. Eric Clapton comes to mind. Eddie Van Halen comes to mind. I think of the late Stevie Ray Vaughan, what he could do with a guitar. Look, I can't play guitar, but there are people out there, and you're just seeing your social media posts today, like, just go through Facebook. Spend 5 minutes going through Facebook, and every other one is like, no, oh, God. Look, the guy had cancer. He had throat cancer. So, he'd been sick for a little while, but it's still sad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I saw it. And apparently, Eddie, Andrew DeCecco is a big guitarist, so he was shaken up by it when we had him on earlier today. But, all right, I want to get the PT, your thoughts on, you just talked about it, you sang about it there, but everybody picked against the Eagles. They turned it around and won that game. Now, it's a banged-up San Francisco team, but is it a big enough win on the road against a team that went to the Super Bowl last year that makes you change your outlook on this season?
It makes me change my outlook that they might be able to course correct a little bit. I'm not ready to, book my Super Bowl tickets or anything like that. It's one stinking win. But there were some glimmers of hope that I saw in that game, including, and I heard you with Andrew DeCecco, I thought, Gerard Avery had an unbelievable game on the defensive line. I thought that, Schwartz obviously knew that he wasn't going up against Jimmy Garoppolo, so he was going to do what he could to try and scheme, rotate fresh guys in, and just try to, trick. And Mullins had a bad game. Look, sometimes you run up against a guy that has a stinker, and Mullins had an absolute stinker. And, Eagles football and football in general sometimes is frustrating. You tell me right now, Mike Gill, I challenge you or Hunter to tell me which team out there is capable of absolutely stepping on the throat and closing a game defense. I feel like each week when I'm either watching Red Zone or watching these games, it's not just the Eagles, but I see all these other teams giving up leads. It's an offense-driven league. It's tough to close a game out, and the Eagles did, and for that, I think you have to be somewhat optimistic.
Earlier in the show, Gil laid out this sentence, and people were texting in to finish it. Carson Wentz is blank. How would you personally finish that sentence after watching him perform last week?
Better when he's throwing on the run. Roll him out, get him out of the damn pocket. For whatever reason, the guy's fundamentals, when he's the 1, 2, 3 drop throw, is nowhere near as good as, oh, crap, I'm running for my life, roll to the right, roll to the left, make a play, throw, complete. I don't understand it. I'm not the Daydu guy out in California that works on his throwing mechanics, but yes, he is better to me when he's on the run. So scheme it that way, roll him out, do what you got to do and make him a better quarterback.
Can this team continue to kind of be this dink and dunk team that they were at the end of last year when they won 4 games? Now, mind you, they played against the Giants a couple times, Washington. The schedule wasn't very daunting. Can they do that and get, be a success? Because that seems, at least until they get to Sean and Alshon and Jalen Reagor and Dallas, when they get their full complement of weapons back, I think they can open it up a little bit more. But is this can they stay afloat until that happens, I guess?
I think they can survive as long as Carson can stay upright. And, kudos to the offensive line for, Driscoll was in there again the other night. Lane Johnson was having issues with his ankle, right? I thought that the rugby player, Jordan Mailata, came in and did a serviceable job. Was he outstanding? Is he going to go to the Pro Bowl? No. But, they did the best that they could under the circumstances. So, and your point is valid, Mike. In order to stretch the field or go aerial, you need those burners. And the 2 guys that are on the Eagles, 3 really, if you want to throw in Quez Watkins, that you always like to talk about, right? So you got Deshaun, you've got Reagor, and you've got Quez Watkins, and none of those guys in the lineup right now. And you and I heard you talking earlier, and I think most Eagles fans, when Fulgham, right? That's the dude's name. When he caught that catch for the touchdown, Travis Fulgham, I got to think that 80 to 90% of Eagles Nation was like, who the hell is this guy?
Now,
I literally.
Did you hear Alex Singleton on with us earlier?
I did. That was outstanding. I loved when Hunter asked him who's the more popular person in Calgary, Johnny Gaudreau or him. And then I like when Hunter backed up on him like, dude, you can't actually act like you love Calgary when you walk off the plane, because Calgary and Scottsbluff, Nebraska are pretty much similar in one regard. There ain't nothing around there when you get off that plane. You're like, where did I turn? Where the heck am I? But, I heard Alex Singleton's story is great. Now, should we admit, Mike Gill, when I talked to you off the air, what I called him?
Who? Oh, Alex Singleton. Yeah, I was talking to Pete on the phone last night. What was his name?
I said, oh, yeah, that guy John Singleton. You're like, John? I'm like, oh, sorry, that's the guy that directed New Jack City.
That's kind of funny, though, because even when you just said, even when Fulgham caught that pass, and then you asked us, that's his name, right? Just the fact that this is the conversation, and it's legit. It's legit.
Well,
it's okay to ask that question.
The funny part is, even when you say Fulgham, you're not even sure if it's still right. Like, you're like, wait, Fulgham's the guy's name? Right? Seriously.
Right.
Like, it just, you're not even, wait, the guy's name is Travis Fulgham? Wild.
Right. No, 100%. And, and Boys in the Hood. John Singleton directed Boys in the Hood, too. Shout out to the 90s. 6 minutes. Dougie Fresh, you're on. Travis Fulgham. Look, we know who Greg Ward is because of what he did last year. Richard Gladys has been in the league. We know that. Hightower, okay. But when you're seeing a guy run down the sidelines, and I think I might have also said to you, Gil, the guy, he was wearing Aguilar's old number. Unlucky 13, but this 13, he didn't let the baby fall, right? Remember that guy that said, I caught the baby out of the burning building, and Travis Aguilar would have let him, or Nelson Aguilar would have let him drop. That was hilarious. So, that's where we're at right now with the receiving core. And look, they schemed. The Niners did what they could to shut down Zach Ertz. They packed the box so that Miles Sanders wasn't going to hurt him on runs or Boston Scott. Dude, are Boston Scott and Corey Clement on this team? They barely rotate him in because I think they know, what's the sense of putting Boston Scott in so he gets 2 yards in a cloud of dust? That doesn't do us any good.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because that's a little bit of heat that Doug Peterson got this week when you were trying to get a first down to finish off the game with the 2-minute warning pretty much coming up. He did put out Corey Clement and Boston Scott instead of Miles Sanders, and it's just like, what were you possibly thinking? You have to think. That is such a boneheaded decision that there's something being hidden from us because there's just no way to justify it.
The one argument would be then, because Sanders did carry the ball 13 times. It's not, is he between the tackles runner? No, not necessarily, but he's your best running back. So why isn't he out there at that time? I'm with you, Hunter. That drove me crazy. The entire series drove me crazy. It set up Beathard's kid or nephew, because Bobby Beathard was what I was thinking, and I had to Google, like, who's this Beathard guy now? Oh, wait, CJ. Oh, wait a second. And then Al Michaels came out of his stupor to tell us that, Beathard actually had been ahead of Mullins at one point on the depth chart. And doesn't it always happen that way, And I saw all the posts afterwards, too. That damn prevent defense, prevent a win. That joke's been around since Reagan was in office. But it's still funny because it's true. That's what it felt like. And you're just hanging on, thinking, are they going to blow this one, too, and have the world's longest flight home from the Bay Area? And thank God they did.
All right, let's go hit on a couple of things. Klentak stepped down. Are you buying that? And how do you feel about John Middleton today? I mean, he was on top of the world when he got Harper, but what about now?
John, Klentak, do I buy he stepped down? No, that's 100% semantics. Look, it's all optics. Okay, if Klentak was fired, then they get thrown under the bus for the fact that I can't believe you're paying a guy and you're cutting people out of the front office and all this other stuff. Because the Phillies are going to, quite frankly, lay off some people. So this whole we're going to reassignment, that may have been the most enjoyable part of my drive home yesterday when you were like, popcorn here. Oh, crap, it's Klentak. I thought that was awesome because that's absolutely true. It's all spin. I have no idea what role Matt Klentak is going to play going forward, but I know they owe him money. And I think they owe one more year on McPhail, too. So why didn't you fire McPhail like everybody wanted? Because, again, same situation. You're not going to pay a guy to go away, but then the flip side of that coin is you have the problem like, wait a second, John Middleton, you're saying that Matt Klentak is not good enough to be our general manager, but the guy that picked him, the guy that put us in this pickle, the guy that hasn't won a World Series, and to come back at the reporter and say, well, he won a World Series. Yeah, when Kirby stinking Puckett was alive, give me a break, dude. Here, let me get my top-loading VCR and we'll watch the Cowboys' last Super Bowl win. Give me a break. You have to find somebody that at least has a foot in both eras, if you will. Be somewhat modern, but also don't be the schmo that says, yeah, we can sign JT Realmuto, and then you're effed.
Yeah, and the whole situation where they kept McPhail and they promote Ned Rice and they demote him means that the three guys that are making I don't know that he technically is making the decisions or has but the optics just say to me, we just got to do something here to show the fans that you're not the main guy, but maybe you'll have a lot of input still.
Right, and they have no idea how much, are they going to have fans next year? If they do have fans, how many people are going to be allowed in? Where do we sit? Oh, we lost all this money. It's just, to me, it kind of ticks me off because it's like Crimea River. It's not like the guy is scraping nickels to get by. He could send his private plane to go get Bryce. And, God forbid, if Bryce Harper ends up like in Trout's situation where he's on this crap team, he's going to start an unhappy Bryce Harper. Right now when he doesn't hit well or he doesn't, he's in a slump, Bryce Harper gets a little moody. You haven't seen the full Washington Harper where he basically was petulant and a child and just not a good teammate. Some people said, I don't want to get to that. Do you?
Well, I think that also came with just him being very young then compared to now. It seems like, I know, me personally at least, when I saw him come here, I thought there was going to be more attitude. I thought that there would be a little bit more swagger to him, but it seems like he has grown up so much and he's such a professional at this point that I feel what you were talking about was there could have been frustration involved as well, but more so just the fact that he was 18, 19, 20, 21 years old compared to where he is now with a kid and married and all that. I do think it's interesting, though, because with Bryce Harper, he's one of the faces of baseball, and everyone criticizes him for not being a winner. When those people who scream at Bryce Harper and just hate him for who he is, they don't realize how brutal this organization is. It's almost like, the Washington Nationals fans that are in our comments on Twitter, look at Bryce Harper, he's such a loser everywhere he goes. Those people have no clue what's going on from an internal standpoint with this dumpster fire Phillies organization.
Right, 100%. You can't blame Bryce Harper for the fact that not a single bullpen arm was reliable this year. And then they went out and got, okay, so we're going to go get some guys for the bullpen. And they're even worse. I mean, what does it say when guys that are marginal in another organization come to this organization and immediately go right into the tank, right? I mean, that's got to be something coming from, you put that on Klentak. You don't put that on Bryce Harper, but I mean, they got a lot of questions right now. And back to just because I was thinking it while you were asking, Hunter, John Middleton as the face of the organization, if there was somebody higher than him, and there is not, if there was somebody, I would have that somebody say like, all right, John, maybe we should limit the amount of interactions you have with the press, because when he gets in there, has there been a John Middleton press conference yet? From his quote about the potted plant, I'm not some potted plant, to like going at the reporter the other day about, did you win World Series? I just think there's times where he completely appears out of touch, bully-esque, and just, you just shake your head like, this is the head of our organization. God help us.
Yeah.
I think he owns like 48% of the Phillies.
Well, he's the majority owner between all the people that have a stake in it. So he is kind of the voice. Remember, for years it was this like faceless, voiceless organization, and like nobody knew who the owners of this team were. They were kind of just like hidden, and then out of nowhere, he kind of jumped out front and became the guy. And then he signs Bryce Harper, and it was like, this guy's a rock star, right? And all of a sudden now you got all sorts of problems. This team is a big mess. Niskanen retires out of the blue, man. What'd you think?
Nobody saw that coming. Certainly not Chuck Fletcher. I mean, like when I saw the update on my phone, I was like, wait, what? Like, and then I had to go look up his contract situation, and so he's leaving with a year on his contract, but it totally caught the Flyers by surprise. I guess the story has come out that he sort of made his intentions clear before they left the bubble when they got knocked out of the playoffs, and Fletcher must have said to him, look, just, you're in the heat of the moment, go home, get out of here, see your family, we'll talk in 2 or 3 weeks or whatever. We'll talk when the cup's done. And then they talked again, and Niskanen said, yeah, you know what, I've had a couple weeks to think about it, and I'm done. I don't think that...
Apparently it has to do with some COVID uncertainty.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is I don't think it has anything to do. I think Niskanen very much enjoyed the organization. I think he enjoyed playing with Provorov. He helped Provorov. Provorov had come off an uncharacteristic year for him the year before, and Ivan Provorov all of a sudden was back to logging his monster minutes in the right place at the right time, making all the right plays because he had that steady partner in Niskanen. I don't think it has anything to do with the Flyers' personnel, coaches, money, any of that stuff. I think it 100% has to do with, I'm 33 years old. I really missed my family for this entire time I was in here. We have no idea when the next season is going to start. You know what? I'm thinking that this is time to just hang up my skates. I mean, they say every athlete, if you're not Steve Carlton, right, Gil? Remember how long Steve Carlton tried to hang on? Most athletes know when it's time, so I guess he thinks it's time.
How does that affect them? Big loss? Or, I mean, most people would say, what did Niskanen do?
Oh no, God, that's a gigantic loss. He is the guy. First of all, he's on the top. He was on the top D pairing. You only have 3 of them, right? Number 2, he straightened out Provorov. So you'll notice that the same day they immediately went and then like they were trying to decide what to do with Justin Braun. Niskanen says he's retired. Boom, Justin Braun contract. You're back, okay? And trust me, there were some games, especially when we were in San Jose, where Justin Braun came from. Justin Braun was awful during that stretch where we saw the Flyers play in San Jose and Anaheim and Vegas. We went to 3 games when we were out on that West Coast trip around the holidays. Justin Braun was awful. He course corrected. He got better. They re-signed him. But then people are out there like loading up my feed with, well, now they have some money. Go get Pietrangelo from, I saw Kevin Shattenkirk's name go out because Tampa just won the Cup and Shattenkirk left the Rangers to go to Tampa. And now, but again, do they have this open pocketbook when you didn't have any fans the second half of the season and you might not have fans in January in the building? I don't, here we are ripping on Middleton. I don't see the Flyers organization as having like wide open checkbooks. I mean, I just don't see them going out and there's a cap situation. And, like Brian Elliott only came back because he was able to come back for a little bit less money. Right. It's not the old days where Mr. Snyder just went and got his checkbook and said, this is the guy I want. Now, of course, Mr. Snyder got the wrong guy. I'm thinking of you, Bert Scala, if there's a bear in the woods. But, it's not the old days.
Yeah, the thing with Justin Braun is I'm not against bringing him back if he's like your sixth defenseman. I wasn't a big fan of him, but if you're talking about a veteran defenseman who's on your third pairing, I can get behind Justin Braun. It's more, what are you going to do now? How are you going to fix that void in that number one spot? And you mentioned Pietrangelo from the Blues. It's like, yeah, that's great in theory, but I don't think that that's something that the Flyers are going to be able to do. I would say trade Gostisbehere, and then that allows you to have some more cap space to maybe work with something. You need to find a way to bring in someone like a Matt Niskanen to help out Provorov, or you're screwed. And I wonder if they're so fascinated with needing a goal scorer like a Line A, even though I don't know if that's really going to happen. Are they going to maybe not get a big-time defenseman and go heavy on forwards and then maybe try and work with what they have? I don't know. I just know that they need, in my opinion, they need to fill that void of Matt Niskanen. They have to.
100%. And the one problem that you just mentioned there is they want to trade Shane Gostisbehere. Well, great. Who wants him? I mean, you still can't. Right now, the highest chance you had to trade Shane Gostisbehere was his first season when he had like 5 or 6 or 7 game winners and he was on the power play and, the kid came out like a rocket and you're like, man, that was the most interest. No disrespect, but that's the most interest that Shane Gostisbehere will ever have. His flaws are magnified because he's not the defensive defenseman. And yes, he does bring some things to the power play and the point like that, but he's a little undersized. And I'm sorry, I just don't think you're going to hoodwink somebody to do it. So then you have to get creative, like who are you going to package to somebody else, or how are you going to free up stuff, to get a guy in? Pietrangelo would be amazing, but I just don't see either of those happening. And then, you're sitting there looking at guys like Robert Haig got better as things went on. They extended Robert Haig's deal, guys like that. Is there a guy in the minors, or is there a guy that could come up and actually step into that spot? And boy, if that's the thing, Hunter, if you're saying that Justin Braun is the number 6 defenseman out of 6 starting defensemen, then they're in big trouble.
All right, Tuesday with Thompson here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, Pete Thompson appears via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. Feeling good about an Eagles-Steeler game?
Am I feeling good about it? I like the 1 o'clock start. It was weird sitting around all day waiting for Sunday night, like Carrie Underwood likes to say. Gil, the Eagles never do well in Pittsburgh. Think back to, the Super Bowl year when T.O. was here. Wasn't that the one game that they blew, right? Or was that before then? I always think about times when the Eagles go to Pittsburgh. In fact, I don't even remember times in Philly when they've done well against Pittsburgh. There's just something about playing the Steelers that always seems to stick in my craw that they don't have success.
I remember they played the Steelers the last time they played. You and I were doing the show, I think, over at Gregory's.
And who won?
Steelers.
Thank you. It's just,
Well, the year the Eagles went to the Super Bowl in what, 2004, I guess. They were 8-0 out of the gates in the first loss they had.
I was thinking that, wasn't that the Trotter year where they actually signed him to play after that game? Didn't they bring him back after that game because they couldn't stop the run?
Might have been that year. No. That was...
that's earlier?
Yeah.
All I know is this. Nate Gary, I mean, look, I never rip on anybody from Nebraska, but that dude's bad. That guy's bad. Yeah, you got to get an actual NFL linebacker in there. That's not even, I don't even feel like I'm making a strong opinion. I'm just stating fact. Fact is, this guy's done.
Well, that's not what Jim Schwartz said today.
Well, he's got to protect his guys. Yeah. Come on. He's not going to throw anybody under the bus. That's just, rah-rah, sis-boo-bah, Nate Gary, yeah.
Thank you, Peter.
It was fun. We'll do it again on Friday. Happy Hour.
Happy Hour Friday with the PT is coming up. That's Tuesday with Thompson